Let me tell you something, because you're not going to believe how it all started. Silent courtroom. A little girl who hadn't said a single word since the worst day of her life, and a dog with a scar running down his side like a lightning bolt. You could hear a pin drop in there. All eyes followed Emily as she made her way to the stand, hesitant. Sure, but you could see something stubborn in her steps, like the world had already tried to break her, and she just wasn't having it. Judge Mark Sullivan, who'd seen about every trick and tragedy pass through his courtroom, leaned in a little, sizing up the child he knew could put a dangerous man away for good. But there was a problem. Emily hadn't spoken a word since the day a stranger tried to drag her into a black van. The defense lawyer was practically drooling. No physical evidence, no confession, and a key witness who hadn't uttered a sound in weeks. The guy on trial, Richard Hale, 45, looked like your average software engineer, which is probably why people never saw him coming. Sat there looking so smug you want to throw something at him. And then this is where it gets weird. Emily sat down, locked eyes with Hale, and gave this tiny, secret signal. Nobody in the room seemed to notice except Rex and Judge Sullivan. Rex, this scarred-up, retired K-9, just locked on a Hale like he'd seen a ghost. Suddenly his whole body went rigid, ears forward, hackles up, this low growl rumbling from deep in his chest. You ever see a dog realize something before anyone else does? Because you could feel the air in the room change. Whispers started, spectators shifting, glancing, wondering. Judge Sullivan slammed his gavel so hard it echoed like thunder. "We'll take a 15-minute recess," he said, not looking at anyone except the little girl who clung to her dog like her life depended on it. In the hallway, Emily just wrapped herself around Rex, burying her face in his fur while her mother tried, trembling, to comfort her. Jack Monroe, the FBI agent running the case, stepped over to Sullivan, grizzled. Seen it all, the kind of guy who never trusts coincidence. "Something spooked that dog," he murmured. "Bet my badge he knows that man from somewhere." The judge just nodded. This wasn't just any dog, and this sure as hell wasn't just any trial. Meanwhile, in the defense's room, Richard Hale's mask dropped for a second, just a flicker, but you could see it. "She knows," he muttered, and his lawyer gave him a weird look, but that was it. Suddenly, Rex was more than just a therapy animal. He was a witness. But let me back up a sec, because before Emily Carter lost her voice, she was the kind of kid who never shut up. 5 years old, all bright eyes and wild stories. The sort who'd turn a walk in the backyard into a fairy tale adventure. The day it happened was perfect sunshine, spring breeze, her mother watching from the window. Then, in the time it takes to answer the phone, everything changed. A black van at the curb, a stranger with that practiced, predator smile. "I have puppies in my van. Special ones. Want to see?" Emily froze. Her mother screamed. Across the street, an old neighbor shouted, and for a heartbeat, the man's grip loosened. Emily bolted. The van screeched off. And from that day, Emily Carter didn't say another word. The cops showed up fast. Monroe took over, piecing together what little he could. There been other kids, other vans, all lured with the same old promises. But without Emily's voice, they didn't have much. Only Martha Jenkins, the neighbor, had caught part of the van's plate. Emily just curled into herself, shrinking away from the world, her family helpless to bring her back. That's when her mother, desperate, tried something she never thought she would, a therapy dog. And that's how Rex entered their lives, a retired police K-9 with a scar and a story of his own. 3 years before, Rex had nearly died saving a kidnapped child in a raid gone wrong. He was meant to be put down, labeled unfit for service, but Dr. Laura Bennett, who ran the therapy animal program, saw something in him and refused to let his story end there. On Emily's first visit to the rehab center, she stood behind her mother, silent, staring. Rex didn't move. He just watched. "Would you like to meet him?" Laura asked. Emily didn't answer, but she didn't run, either. Inch by inch, she reached out, and when Rex lowered his head and pressed his nose to her palm, something clicked. Her fingers found his scar, and for the first time since that day, she reached for something outside herself. That bond only grew. At home, Emily was glued to Rex's side, tracing his scar, drawing pictures of herself and her dog fighting off shadows. She still wouldn't talk, not really. But one day, as she watched Rex perform a trick, she whispered, "Good boy." Her mother nearly collapsed in tears. Sometimes, trust is the first step to finding your voice again. Now, fast forward to the courtroom. The stakes were higher than ever. The prosecution called witnesses. Martha Jenkins recounted what she saw, her voice shaking but firm. Emily just sat there, clutching Rex's leash like a lifeline, her eyes on the table. Then it was her turn. The room held its breath as her mother helped her into the chair. The prosecutor, Jenna Collins, knelt down. "You don't have to talk, Emily. You can nod or point, or just let us know if you want to break." Emily didn't look up, but as Rex nudged her leg, she found his fur, steadied herself, and slowly pointed straight at Richard Hale. That was when all hell broke loose. The defense attorney jumped up, objecting, trying to say Emily's identification was unreliable. The judge overruled him. But then, as Jenna gently asked, "Did this man say anything to you?" Emily gave her secret signal, again barely a twitch, but Rex snapped to attention, eyes locked on Hale, muscles coiled. He growled deep and low. The courtroom froze. That's when it hit Judge Sullivan. Maybe the dog knew more than anyone realized. Had Rex encountered Hale before? The judge asked, and for the first time, Hale looked rattled. Before anyone could process it, the prosecution team ran for the courtroom. Turns out, new forensic evidence had just come in. Soil from Hale's van matched a remote cabin. A search party headed out, with Rex along for the ride. The old dog's nose led them straight to the cabin's back hidden basement. Down there, chained but alive, was another missing girl, Emma Sullivan, 8 years old. They got her out safe. When the news broke, the courtroom was electric. During the next session, Emma's rescue was front and center. The prosecution pressed Hale. "How do you explain a missing child locked in a cabin tied to you? Your DNA is on the chains." "Emma can testify." And again, Rex, the dog locked eyes with Hale, growled, and the man who had looked so calm suddenly started to sweat. He muttered to his lawyer, then stood. "I want to change my plea." That's when it ended. Richard Hale, the average guy, was sentenced to life in prison. Emily, holding Rex's face in her hands, whispered, "Thank you." Her parents wept. Sometimes, the hero isn't the one in the uniform or the one who speaks the loudest. Sometimes, it's the one who listens to you, even when you can't find your voice. Sometimes, justice looks like a little girl and her dog. Now, here's where I want you to weigh in, because justice, community, and the power of silent witness, they're all on the table. Was it the dog who turned the tide, or the courage of a child? Do you think the system got it right, or was it luck, fate, or something bigger? Let me know what you think. Where do you draw the line between evidence and instinct, between fear and courage? Share your thoughts, your stories, your own moments of unexpected bravery, because you never know who needs to hear them next.